DonInLondon, hello. It's October the 10th. My video is all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour. My addictive substance, alcohol, my behaviour could be equally addictive around people, places and things. Trying to be with the right people in the right place, with the right things, doing the right things and wanting the right things. But less wanting these days and more happy, just covering my needs. What do I need? Well, to love, be loved and useful, I guess, in whatever way is possible given my life experience and what I am inclined to do. So that's partly why I do these videos about recovery, how to stay in recovery one day at a time, utilising a program which works for me anyway. I can't speak for anybody else because this is my personal journey in recovery. But I do share a lot about a fellowship which helps me, and that fellowship is Alcoholics Anonymous. And I'm not a spokesman for it, so what you see here is what you get. It's just one voice. And what I know about recovery is we need many voices in recovery to find the message which will help us keep sober a day at a time. So fellowship, or a society like AA, is like any other, I suppose, fellowship out there. You will find people who can be helpful and people who cannot be helpful for whatever reason. And fellowship is full of people of all types, shapes, sizes, backgrounds, orientations, you name it. We are a very broad church. So when I say we, the fellowship, but that's as far as I can go in describing pretty much what goes on for other people. I can only describe what is working for me. And the reason why I keep on making that distinction is I don't speak for AA, never can, never will. It's full of unique and authentic people on their own personal life path or journey in life. And they speak where they will about their recovery, as is appropriate for them. So why do these videos? Well, to share something of the 12-step program and share some of the inspirations, if you like, which keep me on track, whether I'm going to meetings of AA, which is where it works best, or simply sharing from the literature of AA. And I haven't been able to get to a meeting of AA for a few days, not since Friday morning, and it's now Monday morning. And I would have preferred to have got to meetings, but unfortunately could not. I do put sobriety first though, so if I'm not in meetings I'm doing something useful, not only to do with meetings but also to do with my life. And I seem to have a mouse this morning, which is a bit of a, well, it may be a surprise to me, but when I think about the weather changes here, mice probably don't like it quite so chilly out there in the autumnal weather. Anyway, how does AA help me? Well, I share the AA, Alcoholics Anonymous preamble here on this little card, which you can't see too well. And it explains what AA is there to do, and I'll just add a few points in as I go through it. Then share something from this book, Daily Reflections, and something of my own reflections about it takes a child to raise, it doesn't take a child to raise a village, it takes a village to raise a child, and a fellowship to keep me sober. And maybe Desiderata as well by Max Ehrman. These are the things on my mind this morning. So AA's preamble. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. So we just share about recovery in fellowship. We don't tell you what to do. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking, so there are no laws, rules or regulations for you to adhere to. You are there because you want to be there, and you work out how you want to behave. There are no dues or fees for AA membership, so it's free if you haven't got any money. But we are self-supporting through our own contributions, so we don't take outside donations, if you like. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. So there you have it. There are no dues or fees for AA membership, but you will also note AA is not allied to anything, but everybody in fellowship is. So you're going to hear lots of beliefs, opinions, understandings about life, people's backgrounds and culture. And if you feel that somebody is trying to impose their culture or background or particular belief on you, you can thank them and move away quickly, hopefully, and keep with what works for you. So we're not perfect, no, but by no means, and we share about how life works for us, and the background is our lives, sharing honestly with openness and willing to change as life is. And our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. So that's the primary purpose. And we can be a bit of a zealot from time to time in saying, my way works, so why don't you follow me? And the answer is, don't follow anybody, find your own path. Don't put people on pedestals either, because if you put them on a podium or a pedestal, they're most likely to fall off it. And the other thing is, never rely on one person in the fellowship, because if you're relying on one person, you may pull them down rather than be pulled up. That's the way it works. It's fellowship, it's cohesion, it's strength in numbers, and learning from each other what works on a daily basis, and how the 12 steps of the program work as well. So that sounds very simple, straightforward, ordinary, not difficult, but of course, if you're like me, a bit stubborn, defiant, don't want all this stuff, because how on earth would they know how to help me? How on earth can I get sober by listening to other people? How on earth can I get sober by doing 12 steps, or living 12 steps or principles? And what are these traditions in AA around unity, service and recovery? Well, it's very simple. 12 steps for open, honest and willing endeavour on a personal level, and 12 traditions to hold the fellowship together in unity, service and recovery. And around that, life keeps on happening. It's never easy. Well, not for very long anyway. Life is difficult, as M. Scott Peck said. So it's better to understand that life is difficult. And it's okay. And then it's not an issue. But if we say life is difficult and I can't cope, then maybe fellowship can help as well. We get overwhelmed in recovery, same as we did when we were drinking, or whatever the drug of choice was, or whatever the behaviour was as well. We become overwhelmed. Often we're not quite right, we fear something, or we don't feel good enough. And that is one of the things that is in my repertoire of things to deal with. Not always feeling right, not always feeling good enough. But we are good enough on a daily basis to live. So, in this book, Daily Reflections, it covers the AA 12 steps and the 12 traditions. October is all about doing spot check inventories. When I'm disturbed, the disturbance is in me, not necessarily in the other person. But if I take the other person on in a way which is unhelpful, then not only am I disturbed, but the other person is disturbed as well. So the spot check inventory is, how am I feeling, why, what can I do? If I feel angry, I need to know why. Something is making me angry. But it's inside me. The disturbance is inside me until I share it with another person. Maybe the object of my anger, a person, place or thing, has upset me. I can make it worse by spreading the pain. But it doesn't undo my pain. The best way to undo my pain is deal with what's going on inside me, the disturbance. And that can be because I can help, I cannot help. I can live with this and it's good for me. I cannot live with this and it's not good for me. All those sorts of questions around my feelings work for me. Why? Because the fellowship program is, the 12 steps is about emotional, spiritual well-being. Knowing what our feelings are in the moment of now. Emotional feelings, spiritual ability to cope with reality. How my feelings work in the moment of now. Not a great mountain full of feelings from the past. I've dealt with those in the other steps. But one or two do come back to haunt me from time to time, because I'm a normal human being with memories and know what is good for me, having done the 12 steps and keeping on doing them daily. I tend to know what is good for me, but I don't know what's good for you, because only you can work that out. Anyway, the daily reflection for today, all about step 10. Fixing me, not you. If somebody hurts us, we are sore. We are in the wrong also. Or in other words, we are disturbed in some way if somebody hurts us. I can fix my insides around this, but I don't have to inflict pain on others. What a freedom I felt when this passage was pointed out to me, because it comes from the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions, page 90. What a freedom I felt when this passage was pointed out to me. Suddenly I saw I could do something about my anger. I could fix me, instead of trying to fix them, so they won't hurt me anymore. I believe that there are no exceptions to this axiom, and an axiom is just a statement of truth. When I am angry, my anger is always self-centered. Yeah, it's inside me. I am hurting. I must keep reminding myself that I am human, that I am doing the best I can, even when the best is sometimes poor. So I ask God to remove my anger and truly set me free. Or I can just say in good conscience, why am I angry? Well, I can see why now these days. It's my feelings, not theirs. And asking God, or in good conscience, oh, come on, how are we going to let it go then? It's not them, it's me. So it's working that part out, and that's a daily occurrence often. When a bus driver cuts us up, a taxi driver ignores us, somebody is short with us when we're trying to be nice to them, or they just don't want to know us. Let it go. We're not going to be right for everybody, are we? And also know when you're not right for people as well, in trying to help. And that's been a conundrum over the last few days for me. Not with people close to me where I am right now, but a fair distance away, where we can like a person, even love them, and want them to be successful and happy and joyous and free. At the same time, we could be a hindrance to them by trying to help from afar, when it's better to get help face to face. And also maybe professional help, inasmuch as when dealing with issues which are not to do with sobriety, issues in life, dealing with grief, loss, often we can have help from a professional person who can give us the process to process the feelings we just don't know what to do with. And grief is it's the all-time great actually. Grief around loss can be loss of people, places, things, situations, harmony, peacefulness. We can lose those things temporarily. And of course in early recovery it's very difficult. How do we deal with loss? Loss of the one thing that was keeping us in a place of sanity, we thought, or just able to cope with the abnormal situation of grief. Because grief, big dollops of grief in one go, are just about impossible to deal with, unless you know how, and you've learned how. So we don't know how, and I know when I had two big grieving sessions all going at once, the only thing I did, all I had left was career. I had a loss of a partner, loss of a parent, and a change of home, a change of job. It all happened at once, and my way of coping was not good back then. I drank myself into oblivion and worked as hard as I possibly could, so that at least one thing kept on working. But I didn't work really, because I was just really building the problem up for a future, I suppose, breakdown, which was much bigger, much more horrible than I ever anticipated in all my life. And I kept on drinking. Anyway, some of my thoughts today. Yeah, this is just for me for today. Autumn winter signs coming. I saw a mouse last night. I was lying in bed and I saw a mouse trot along outside my bedroom door down the corridor, and I thought, well, where's that mouse going? And how did it get in? It's chill out there for humans and animals, and warmest toast in my abode. And this morning I had the high blood sugars for me. I must have dropped off without taking my insulin shot, which is a problem with the solution today. Insulin impatience. So I'm a bit hot and bothered, not because my flat is as warm as toast, but because my blood sugars are out, and being type 1 diabetic, that's not good. But the AA Daily Reflections, I was thinking about them. Fixing me, not you. If somebody hurts us, we are sore. We are in the wrong also. I let in the mouse, somehow. It's not the mouse's fault. Indeed, I don't want the mouse to die. I just want it to leave. I'm just thinking of ways to make it leave without having to offer it an expiration before its sell-by date, or use-by date, or death date. I don't particularly want it dead. I just prefer it went somewhere else. So I have mouse where? It's not there on the stair. It's in the hallway. Anyway, something I wrote the other day. It takes a village to raise a child. And I heard that statement somewhere on Friday, and I heard it on the TV. I'm not sure if it's connected with a TV programme, but I also know it's a book. It takes a village to raise a child. And that can stir up all sorts of feelings. And I know that maybe those feelings are justified, where people are single parents and having to struggle. But what I do know, it takes a village to raise a child, maybe, and a fellowship to keep me sober, definitely. And I was thinking back, and these are the words that came to me as I was writing. I never had a village to raise me. And indeed there was no real village for my parents either. My parents, one who seemed to understand life and feel it in the moment, that's my mum. One who seemed driven by expectations, dreams and disappointment. One an alcoholic, drowning their sorrows, that's my father. The other trying their best to cope with life as it was and is today, that's my mum. One dead before their time, one alive, and doing pretty well considering all the hardships and wonders over a long lifetime. And she's doing marvellously, but she lived with my father 42 years, and he was a very difficult individual, not because he wanted to be, but because his life was just blinking difficult, and he made it worse by not knowing how to deal and cope with adversity, not so well. And I followed him with a drink in hand because I was a chip off the old block. For me, as an alcoholic in recovery, my outlook and attitude to the statement, it takes a village to raise a child, has become more meaningful. In active addiction and learning life through all those years, I realised I had no village to help me find my path. I had a pub, a bar, a nightclub, and so many more influences which made me king in my own kingdom. It was a very small kingdom, just me. Back in the day, I would have argued against the idea that it takes a village to raise a child, because I felt I knew all there was to know about how to live my life and what to do with it. I could not see beyond my own experience and success. And I suppose my father, in his own way, he always used to talk about developing his own tribe. The tribe, he used to call us. I only just remembered that. I loved him. Sayings like pride before a fall did not apply to me until I could not stop falling and falling. Addiction of any type seems to be based on lack of knowledge, lack of awareness. Ignorance is bliss, then we find we are heavily dependent and into addiction. No matter what our background is, addiction can happen and does happen to anyone from any walk of life. Yeah, I tried over and over to pull myself together and pull my socks up. I tried to stop and failed. I did not know how to deal with my addiction and my alcoholism. I just didn't. Fellowship is and remains the key to my sobriety today. I'm included, a part of something bigger than me. A society of people who share experience, strength and hope with others, and hope to help others in recovery from active addiction one day at a time. We can carry the message and not the person. It takes a fellowship to help a newcomer. A newcomer can pull back into the problem, which is why the fellowship works. It takes a village of sober people to raise a newcomer out of the problem into the solution. Fellowship is essential in my opinion, and this is just my opinion. The many in fellowship help the individual find their way. Fellowship cannot impose anything on the newcomer. Individuals simply share their story of recovery. With enough people sharing, we find similarities, and then we learn the steps of recovery. That's the 12-step program about how to be open, honest and willing to keep on changing as life changes. Like the village, fellowship is full of different relationships, some good and some which can prove to be unhelpful if we think we know best. The most unhelpful can be the newcomer, feels one person can fix them and their problems. We end up with two people and their problems are twice as difficult. And I can fall into that because in the past I've had chaps who've come to my place or different places where I've been, and they've spent hours and hours and hours explaining what's been going on for them and made no progress whatsoever because they just keep on coming back to me rather than fellowship because I'm a safe harbour. And the thing is, we need to feel the pain as much as anything, and I don't like people feeling pain. But it becomes painful because I can't have people dependent on me or codependent in an unhealthy way, because that takes away their spirit and their freedom, or mine. Experience shows it is the many voices and relationships based on fellowship which help a person find sobriety and keep sober day to day. Constant and always changing, that is fellowship as life changes. With hope we change and meet the challenges of life on life's terms. I have the benefit of a global local village today, that is a worldwide connection to a great big fellowship. And the local village is face to face, that's where it all works, that's where it all happens. And being raised in fellowship, I am learning how to love, be loved and useful as life is. I'm not ever how I imagined, one day at a time. And it's true, my life is so different to however I imagined it. Just some stuff from previous years, and then I'll probably share Desiderata as my parting bit for today. It's important to be able to help people, but also important to know that some help can be very unhelpful if we get too close. Forgive indiscretions, forgive not looking at the problem and finding the solution. It's very easy to love and make it worse rather than love unconditionally and let people find their own path with the right sponsor or with the right professional help or with the right ingredients which are outside me, because I'm not right for everyone, as many people know. Step 10, a daily practice, not a daily theory or how we should be. We will be disturbed often by life experiences. Why? If we were always happy, always joyful, surely this is simply half the life story. We need feel the opposite, sad and unhappy, anger and resentment, all normal human living. It is what we do next which defines us today. Somebody hurts us and we are sore. As the song goes, it's not unusual to be loved by anyone. It's not unusual to have fun with anyone. But when I see you hanging out with anyone, it's not unusual to see me cry, oh, I want to die. Yeah, to love, be loved back, and useful is as perennial as the grass, as Max Ehrman said in Desiderata. Yeah, many choose progress through deception. Now, the line goes, progress not perfection. In practicing the steps, many choose progress through deception. I'll fake it to make it, which means omissions of truth. Defeat and stop, which means omissions of truth, defeat and stop our spiritual progress. And of course, self-deception covers up dishonesty, closes us down and will gnaw at our soul. We still make progress, it just takes longer to get to the reality of today. So when we want to jump in with both feet and try and be a saviour, if that's where we're coming from, oh no, I need to pull this person out from the drowning sea. Well, actually, if the person was drowning in the sea, you would want to pull them out. Or you might want to ring the lifeguard, somebody who's got a bit more strength, agility, right set of tools to do the job, rather than jump in with a raincoat with lead weights in it, which is where we can all come from if we're not careful, because we think we know what we're doing. if we examine our feelings as to why we want to do these things, then we need to reassess our appropriateness in all situations. Not easy, because, the older we get, the dafter we get. But Max Ehrmann's Desiderata. I used to have this poster on my wall, and I never really... You can't understand something so deeply until you have the life experience and the depth of what we've done as part of this living life. So the good news is we get our feelings back in recovery. The even better news is they become deeper, broader, wider and more profound, and we deal with them. It's the richness of life, the spiritual life of now. Anyway, Max Ehrmann's Desiderata. Go placidly amid the noise and haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible, without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others. Even the dull and the ignorant, they too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexations to the spirit. And if you compare yourself with others, you may become vain and bitter. For always there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself. Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your own career, however humble. It is a real possession in the changing fortunes of time. Exercise caution in your business affairs, for the world is full of trickery, but let this not blind you to what virtue there is. Many persons strive for high ideals, and everywhere life is full of heroism. Be yourself. Especially do not feign affection, neither be cynical about love, for in the face of all aridity and disenchantment, it is as perennial as the grass. Take kindly the counsel of the years, gracefully surrendering the things of youth. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune, but do not distress yourself with dark imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness. Beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. And whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. Therefore be at peace with God, who and whatever you conceive him to be. And whatever your labours and aspirations, in the noisy confusion of life, keep peace with your soul. With all its sham, judgery and broken dreams, it is still a beautiful world. Be cheerful. Strive to be happy. And that's Max Ehrmann's Desiderata. Not the best speaking voice with that this morning. Tired. And high blood sugars, which just send my brain off in different directions. I'm glad to be me. And one of the things which is so important is for people in recovery, in the fellowship of AA, is we try and help each other as best we can. Sometimes we are the appropriate person in the moment of now, and sometimes we're just completely not the appropriate person in the moment of now. Age, time, gender, all the issues of getting on with people, learning how to love, be loved, and useful. And there are many forms of love. The best one is unconditional. Without conditions means there's no power in there, or want rather than need. We need love, be loved, and useful. Needs met, wants forgotten. So we may be special in many ways to many people, or not special at all. It's how life turns out, how we cherish people so they can cherish us back. And all these things take time. the more we are bruised by life, the harsher it has been, and we have survived it, if we don't deny our experiences and we don't block them out with a drink or a drug or a behaviour to try and get back to normality. Normality arrives much faster dealing with the feelings day to day, cherishing the good of what we have lost, but also knowing it is also a gap. The gap created by loss is there to be filled with new experience, new love, all that. So forgive everything of everybody if you can, and then we don't keep on going round and round in the same old stuff forevermore. Forgiveness of self and others, crucial in recovery. I love the poem by Max Ehrmann, Desiderata. I never knew. I took the poster down for 30 years, not because I didn't like the poster, just because my life changed, and when I realised my father wasn't so well as he used to be, as he was. He was broken down for a long time, and I guess part of my high power disappeared. Anyway, that's just me and where it all started. Today it's different. I can reminisce, but I do cherish always that I loved him, even if he was a very difficult customer all his life, and he knew it in the end, and he made his amends. The Serenity Prayer at the end of my videos it's there in the moment always to help me. Can do, I can change me and my attitudes. Cannot do, I cannot change you or your attitudes. Wisdom to know the difference, I learn it every day. So the can do, can't do, wisdom to know the difference is the raw bones of the Serenity Prayer, or just simple meditation. No matter what your belief system is, whether you are atheist, agnostic or believer, or have some other combination formula, the can do, can't do, wisdom to know the difference seems to apply in all endeavours and is timeless. Timeless because it works at any time, anywhere, any day. So to God, or in good conscience, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference is in the moment and just for today.